Hello everybody. This is going to be a review of my experience shopping with BECKERTIME on eBay. A lot of you have been actually asking me, they're really big seller on eBay for specifically Rolex watches, and even more niche than that, specifically vintage Rolex watches, usually from 1960s to about like in the 80s or 86. They do have some newer models like in the 90s and maybe 2000s, but their specialty seems to lie within the vintage models from what I have seen. But before I start anything at all, PBJ. Yep. So, what did I buy from BECKERTIME? This was a long while ago, at least 5 years, maybe even 10. I haven't bought from there in a long time. I purchased once from there, and it was a Rolex Oyster Perpetual. Actually, I might have purchased something twice. I think I bought an Oyster Perpetual date, 34 millimeters. Yes, that's small as fuck for watches now. It was 34 millimeters, and I think I purchased maybe a date just from them, or it might have been somebody else, but I do remember the 34 millimeter Oyster Perpetual with the diamond dial. If you go on my Facebook or Instagram, I have posted pictures and maybe some videos of that, and yeah. So, do I recommend BECKERTIME? As a seller, yes, they are very good, but at the time when I made my Rolex purchase, I did not really do much research. I was a lot younger. I do think it was like 10 years ago. It was a long fucking time ago. I didn't do much research. They do have good feedback because as a seller, they're very reliable. They do ship your orders out really fast. You will get your watch. They're not a scammer. I'm not saying that at all. The only thing I am saying is you need to know what you are buying. You need to read the description very fucking carefully. You need to go through this shit like a prenup. Because if it's not stated in the description, it most likely is not included and is not original. What I mean by that is I purchased my Rolex Datejust Oyster date, I think that's what it's called, 34 millimeters, had a diamond dial on it, but at the time, like, I didn't know shit about watches, or not very much anyways, aside from the model numbers. And so I bought this watch, and it was around maybe $2,000, somewhere around there. I don't really remember. It was a normal price. It wasn't like extravagantly they're overcharging anybody. But, and this is a huge but, when I purchased the watch, I did look at the description, but I guess like I was a little naive, so it had it's basically a Franken watch. For those of you that don't know what a Franken watch is, it's an original Rolex, so it is a real Rolex, but they changed a lot of shit on the watch, and now it's like a Frankenstein, like the monster, because they took pieces off and they put aftermarket pieces on it, so it's no longer an original Rolex watch, but they are still charging you the original Rolex price, which is not a good deal. You should not do that. Don't do what I did. So on the specific watch I purchased, it had an aftermarket bracelet, so the value tanks, aftermarket bezel tanks, aftermarket dial tanks, aftermarket diamonds, so it was not factory, and I think it was an aftermarket clasp as well. Oh, and the sapphire crystal was aftermarket as well. So basically this whole watch, even though it had the Rolex movement, wasn't a true Rolex anymore. A lot of times what sellers do, I'm not saying they do this, but they'll buy an all original watch. Let's say they're selling this watch for $2,000, all original. They'll take off the bracelet, put an aftermarket bracelet, which is nowhere near as good as the original Rolex, and then they sell the bracelet, but yet they're still selling this particular watch for the same $2,000. And if you want to go one step further, they take off the original bezel. They'll sell the bezel by itself. Same with the glass. It goes all the way down to the core. They do leave the movement, I believe. I don't fucking know if they change any type of springs or anything in the movement. They might. So this is a Franken watch. So what I purchased was essentially I wouldn't say it's a fake Rolex, but it's definitely not an all original Rolex anymore. So there was no value to this watch. So when I went to resell it, it was quite difficult. As I remember, I would post it on Craigslist or on eBay, but people would always lowball me on my price because they say one, no original bracelet, no original dial, no original bezel, and there ain't shit that I can say about it because it's not original. It's the way I purchased it. So with BECKERTIME, I have gone through the majority of their listings, and it seems like they do this with almost all their watches. I don't know if it's because it's old and vintage and they just wanted to replace it, or they're just reselling the other parts. But either way, a lot of their watches have aftermarket components in it. So you need to really watch out of what you're buying. Like if the description does not say original, it most likely is not original. So like if you don't see it say original crystal, original bracelet, and let's say it's just blank, or not even blank, like it's just not mentioning anything, you should assume that it's not original. And or they'll say original but refinished. That also drives the value down. So if you it's nothing wrong with buying a Franken watch, but I would pay a lot less for a Franken watch than what I did, or what BECKERTIME is selling it for. Like a lot of people are asking me, like they're not a bad seller. I believe they're a power seller with like a 99% or even 100% feedback rating, and they do allow you to trade up your watches. Like if you purchase a $3,000 watch from them, they'll allow you to trade it up as long as it's more value than the original watch you purchased. But other than that, a lot of eBay sellers are like this, not just BECKERTIME. I'm not trying to shit on them. I mean, this is their hustle. They do it well. But a lot of other sellers on eBay do this exact same tactic. So you as a buyer, really watch out for who you're buying from. The best way to do it if you're buying it online is like me. I would buy I go and watch Recon, and I look for the sellers that have been a staple of watchuseek.com. It's just a watch group and a watch forum. There are a lot of people that are sellers that are very reputable, and you can find feedback on them. And I feel like that's a lot easier and safer than purchasing a watch from an eBay seller that you do not know. Buy the seller first, not the item. What that means is trust in the seller first, and then you can look at their items. Anyways, that's it for this video. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.